541 million years ago, in the darkness of the primordial oceans, Earth witnessed something that had never happened in all its billions of years of existence. Not a storm, not a fire, but an explosion of life. Strange creatures, unlike anything ever seen in the fossil record before, rose all at once, from the darkness, from the mud, from conditions so harsh that no living thing had ever called them home. Where did they come from? From a slow, silent evolution that spanned hundreds of millions of years, or from somewhere far beyond anything the human mind can imagine. This is the story of the strangest, the most terrifying, and the most beautiful era ever to unfold in the history of life. Before the Cambrian, Earth was nearly empty. No plants, no large animals, no hint of the bustling world we know today. Beneath the deep ocean, there were only tiny organisms, soft, shapeless bodies drifting through the ancient darkness. No eyes to see the world, no teeth to defend themselves or hunt, no hard parts to withstand the cold, the hunger, or any predators. That world was drowned in silence, a silence that lasted hundreds of millions of years. No competition, no chasing, no fear, a planet untouched by chaos. And then, in the fossil record, something happened. On a geological timescale, it was like an explosion, an invisible blast, powerful enough to rewrite the entire history of life. In just a few tens of millions of years, a blink of the cosmic eye, life shifted from simple to wildly complex. New structures, new bodies, survival strategies the world had never seen before. As if someone had flipped a switch, and Earth suddenly woke up. We call that event the Cambrian Explosion. If the Precambrian was a dead, suffocating silence, then the Cambrian Ocean was the first symphony of chaos. The Cambrian Ocean felt like an alien horror film, not because its creatures came from space, but because they were so unfamiliar, so far removed from every rule life had ever followed. Opabenia, 5 eyes scanning in every direction, and a long, deformed, arm-like proboscis. It moved quietly, like something stalking you in a bad dream. Hallucigenia, a body that looked like it was sketched by an artist in delirium. Legs like tiny injection needles, spikes standing upright, deadly traps guarding its every side. For years, scientists couldn't even tell which end was the head and which was the tail. And then there was Anomalocaris, the first true predator. It didn't swim, it lunged. It didn't merely look, it locked onto its targets with cold, advanced compound eyes. To the other Cambrian creatures, Anomalocaris was the first nightmare in the history of life. Wiwaxia, small but armored, like a miniature defensive machine. Its mix of long and short spines made any predator think twice before attacking. And amid all that chaos emerged a humble creature, Pikaia, not fierce, not armored, not armed, but within its tiny body lay the very first blueprint of vertebrate life. Without it, there might have been no fish, no amphibians, no reptiles, no mammals, and no us. In this ocean, for the first time in Earth's history, creatures learned to hunt, to flee, to hide, to fight. And for the first time, life learned to fear. But the bigger question is, why? What could have driven life, after hundreds of millions of years of quiet sleep, to suddenly go wild. First, oxygen. It wasn't just air, it was fuel. When oxygen levels spiked, bodies grew larger, metabolism sped up, and for the first time, life had the energy to experiment and to eliminate. Then the Hox genes appeared, a master control system for the body. They allowed life to build new forms: legs, eyes, mouths, armor, weapons. This was the moment when life began to create. But the real trigger was fear. When the first predators appeared, every other creature was forced to run or to change. Thicker armor, longer spines, faster speed. An arms race had begun. The oceans became clearer than ever before. Light pierced deeper, and eyes began to evolve. Where there is light, there is someone watching. And where there is someone watching, there is someone being hunted. All of these factors combined, like an irreversible domino effect. And just like that, life was no longer bound. It exploded. It spiraled into chaos. It became creative and merciless, as if it had just been freed from ancient chains. But there is a hypothesis, far more daring. A hypothesis that, if true, would make the entire history of life feel unfamiliar. It isn't accepted by everyone in the scientific community, but it forces us to stop and ask ourselves: the panspermia hypothesis. The idea that life, or the building blocks of life, didn't originate on Earth, but came from somewhere far more distant. Some researchers suggest that the Cambrian explosion wasn't driven solely by natural evolution, but by a push from the outside. We've found amino acids in certain meteorites that fell to Earth, organic molecules, the building blocks of life, forming naturally in space. There are even hypotheses suggesting that ancient viruses, genes, or microorganisms tougher than metal may have hitchhiked across the cosmos on meteorites for millions of years. When those fragments of matter crashed into Earth's oceans, they may have blended into the planet's primitive ecosystem. They may have brought new genes, new tools, new abilities that Earth's biology had never known before. We don't have the evidence to confirm it, but nothing has completely ruled it out either. That, in the dawn of complex life, a breath from the cosmos may have fanned the flames of the Cambrian. The extraterrestrial hypothesis is enticing. It sparks the imagination, painting strange visions of life born among the stars. But modern data tells a story that's more scientific, more grounded. If Cambrian organisms had come from elsewhere, their DNA would have revealed strange differences. But every piece of evidence shows one thing: they belong to Earth. The pre-Cambrian life forms, the Ediacaran creatures, didn't vanish. They evolved. They passed down their fundamental body plans for the Cambrian organisms to build upon. The pieces that once seemed missing are slowly being found, not as a sudden leap, but as countless tiny steps, stacked over millions of years. No technology, no unnatural structures, no strange genetic code. Everything fits within Earth's own evolution. Instead of an invasion from the stars, the Cambrian explosion was a biological revolution, a rising of life itself, quietly nurtured for hundreds of millions of years in the dark. The Cambrian was the moment when life first became beautiful, terrifying, and astonishingly complex. A brilliant and deeply mysterious chapter, as if Earth's oceans had been lit by millions of souls drifting in from somewhere far, far away. Did it all begin on this very planet, or with wayward seeds drifting in the darkness of the cosmos? We still don't know. But there's one thing we do know for sure. The Cambrian isn't just history. It's a reminder that life always finds a way to erupt in forms no one could ever foresee.